own crib, ain't nobody on the motherfucking lease. Everything about to stay on fleek, hair and nails fleek. Baby, you a real cold piece. Everything about to stay on fleek. She don't need me, she don't need nobody.
Welcome to Men vs. Women. I'm your host, Eitwanda, and we're here on this show to discuss and debate a range of topics with the opposite gender in hopes to gain a better understanding. On today's episode, we're accompanied by Shayla, Ashley, Eric, and Jaxson. And we started off with today's quote, which leads us into our first topic, which is what's on your list. And I want to ask you ladies, what's on your list and what you are willing to ignore if somebody has all of the other qualities you desire?
That's a good question. What's on my list? Okay, so first and foremost, I'm looking for someone that is a godly man, so they have to be a Christian. That's first. After that, just someone that's very professional, someone that has their life together, someone that has a fashion sense, someone that has personality, someone that can make me laugh, has a good time, someone that's adventurous.
Okay.
Someone like me.
And what about you, Ashley?
Honestly, for me, same thing up front. I am a Christian, so that's something that is extremely important to me. I want to make sure that we share the same values, beliefs up front. Somebody who is great with communication, who's open to it. I want communication to not be an issue between us. As far as just physically, I mean, I'm a tall woman, so you guys can call it shallow, but he needs to be at least 6'2" or taller. I want to be able to put my heels on and still look up to him. I don't want to feel like a man. Personal preference there, but the main thing is, again, as long as he's a believer, he can make me laugh. I want somebody who's constantly growing. I read a lot of books. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I have a lot of life goals as far as businesses and things like that. So I need somebody who's willing to grow with me as well. So that's huge for me.
Okay. Gentlemen?
I would definitely say where I can agree, somebody that I can build with. Because at the end of the day, it's not about where you are when I meet you, but just your potential on who you could be. You know, you could meet me, I could be walking, taking the bus, but then 2 years later from now, you know, whatever business I started might start popping up. So I guess with a woman, as far as, you know, the mental part, someone who's willing to build, and as far as physical, I mean, you know, I feel like that attraction is very much important, you know, in building, because, I mean, you have to stay there. You have to know yourself. So admitting any type of information is a lie. So acting like something, you know, physically doesn't bother you or that you don't have any standards, it's almost like you're lying and you cheat to yourself already at the beginning.
Ladies, do you feel like men always feel the need that we have to look a certain way in order for them to approach us? What are your take on him saying, you know, the appearance? You have to look attractive. Do you feel like as women we go above and beyond for men? Or?
I feel like we do, but I feel like as long as you're confident as a woman in how you look, that confidence will show to that potential guy that you're dating. And I mean, we can't ignore the facts, and obviously appearance is important. You know, you want to be with somebody that initially you are attracted to. Obviously, once you get to know them, you need to connect on a deeper level. It can't just be solely based on appearance, but I mean, it's important. I mean, I'm gonna have to look at the guy the rest of my life, and I mean, obviously looks are gonna change and everything, but I need to be attracted to him up front for sure.
See, you asked part of the question was, do you think that women try too hard for men? Mm-hmm. But what I realized in my talks with a lot of women is when I ask you like, oh, why are you wearing this and why are you trying to do this? And it's always like, no, I'm doing this for me. It's not even for them. I'm doing this for me so I can look comfortable. That's why you put on all the makeup and stuff. So I start to see like they say that, but then, you know, it seems to go a different way. Like it's like the two-sided coin to it. So it's kind of hard, and I think it's good to like get to the bottom layer as to why are you really doing this? You know, what are you trying to attract? And if that is what you're trying to attract, then understanding like those are the people that's going to come to you, and you got to be okay with that too.
Yeah.
So
definitely. Well, I know me sometimes. I like to, you know, dress up and look good. And I do it for myself, but at the same time, you know, what you put on, a lot of men, you attract them by what you wear.
And then too, it's like, I feel like the attractiveness, or at least for us, the appearance, is like a lot of the bait. You know what I mean? Like, that's just you like a fisherman. You know, you put something that's on the line that's going to get the fish to draw in, and then you get them, and then from there you could do stuff with. And I feel like a lot of times that's what women do. Like if I go out or wherever, I go out here in Dallas and stuff, like they're wearing that thing for bait. So it's attracting people, which is a point of it. It becomes objectifying, right? Because now I'm looking at this person like, oh, you're attracting me with what you got on, and as I go to you and I talk about what you're wearing and what you're showing off, then it becomes a problem. And I'm trying to understand like why that is what it is.
I feel like you're kind of changing the topic though, because I mean, there's a difference between like if you look good, you feel good. Like there's a difference between us like wanting to present ourselves in a way that makes us feel good, or even in a way that we want our man to be proud of us, versus me dressing scandalous, which I feel like that's kind of what you're bringing this into. Obviously, how you dress is going to attract a certain type of individual, but that's different than, you know.
So when a guy, so if you're wearing something that you like that is attracting a guy, like what would you expect him to come up to you and say, or what would you like him to come up to you and say, based on the appearance level?
I mean, I personally don't dress like showing too much, you know? Yeah. And so if I dress, I mean, to me, like the biggest compliment a guy can give me is you are beautiful, you're gorgeous, because that comes to a place of, you know, that's genuine. Like he's looking at me, you know, it's not, if a guy says I'm sexy, like I feel like there's a time and place for that. So if a guy is coming to me or my clothing is presented in a way that that's the type of initial compliment he wants to give me, then I feel like I'm probably not dressing in a way that I personally would like to portray. And I don't know if that makes sense to y'all.
Yeah.
It does. Definitely. And I totally agree with that too. I can't stand it when people come up to me and they say, oh, you look sexy. I don't like that. I think that's not very attractive to me, for someone to come up to me and that's your first couple of words is to use that type of language. I would much rather prefer someone to say, you look nice, you look pretty, you're gorgeous, you're beautiful.
That's when
something
you're not
that has
looking
some
sexy
meaning.
though, right?
Well, I think being sexy is confident. So you don't necessarily have to
it's not
dress
a physical
proactively.
Look, it's more like an action, something that you pick up.
It's all about your confidence. It's your vibe. Exactly what you said. So
but
it's
see,
about
that
how you look.
that kind of contradicts yourself, because to feel.
No, it's not a contradiction. It's all about how you look. So it's about how you look, how you feel, how you portray yourself, how you act. So if you have confidence, like today, I don't feel like I'm dressed sexy, but I feel like if I were to go out and communicate with someone, they might, you know, say that to me, and it's because of the vibe that I portray.
But confidence that's a compliment, right? If I say, hey, you seem like a really confident woman, right? And you're saying that aligns with sexiness.
I would prefer someone to say you're confident, you're pretty. I see that you've got it going on, whatever it may be. But for someone to use those words, there's so many other words that you can choose.
Even with the same connotation of what you're saying?
I'm not interested in that. If someone, that's like a block. That's an absolute no for me. If someone were to approach me and use that particular word, and that's the first time that I've met you, no, that's not going to work. So for me, to get back to the main question about appearance and whether or not that's really important and who you dress for, I feel like I dress for myself. And I feel like appearance isn't necessarily everything for me, at least. I feel like I'm more attracted to personality, and appearance is important in regards to you do plan on spending the rest of your life with one person, so they can't, you know, be someone that you're just totally 100% unattracted to.
So if you dress for yourself, then what is it that you use in order to like get men to gravitate towards you?
I don't use my clothing to get men to gravitate towards me.
So basically, you dress how you want, and if a man is so happens to be attracted to you, then so be it.
Then so be it.
I don't believe that.
Why not?
I believe everything that you wear.
Let's talk about it. Why not?
I'm just saying. Like, I believe since the beginning, everything that you put on your body is psychological. Everything, all the way down from when you learn that in school. You know, if you don't wear the right shirt, if it's not named, and it not necessarily say it's right, but everything that you put on your body is in some way trying to attract certain type of people or show somebody, like, you know, you got people that back in the day used to wear tags outside of their shirts just to show I paid a lot for the shirt. So I feel like no one just goes in their closet and just picks whatever and puts it on and just like accept me for how I am. I'm pretty sure, especially as women, Y'all contour your face a special way.
I
Y'all
don't know
make
how to
sure you
contour.
choose a certain
I've never
thing. Am I
contoured
right?
anything.
I don't mean I'm speaking in the general consensus when I say that. I don't mean, I don't know the terms, I don't know what it is. But I'm just saying, like, everything that you put on, even if, is this showing too much? Because everything that you put on is literally, you know.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of this. Because the same thing is just like if you go into a job interview, the thing that you really, like, focus on is your appearance. When you go into a meeting, it's your appearance. So all of these things, you know, you're going to create some type of perception of the person around you. So you have to take pride in that. You have to know, like, what you're going to do is going to do something to the other people who are looking at you. So as far as saying dressing, for me, you will wear sweats every day. You will wear whatever is most comfortable to you every day, all day. If you really was like, I'm just dressing for myself. And if
But
not,
I'm not comfortable with being sloppy. I feel like if you're going to wear basketball shorts, sweatpants, t-shirts every day, that's sloppy. I have goals in my life. I have businesses I'm working on.
So
I work in a
what I'm
very
saying.
professional environment. So I dress for me because I'm in that environment. I don't dress a certain way to attract men. I'm dressing for myself because I know I work in corporate America or I know I have a business.
But the thing about that, if you went into your job and you
I would
wore,
never go to work with
exactly.
sweatpants
But
on.
why?
Because it's not acceptable.
But there's a time
if
and
I'm
place,
trying to
like-
grow in my career,
I'm just trying to get to the point where
where
you really understand that you're not solely dressing for yourself. Like, yeah, you might.
I might
like,
not
just-
necessarily 100% be dressing for myself, but I'm not dressing for a man, that's for sure. I'm dressing for myself and where I am at that point in my life. So if I'm going to work, I don't put on a pencil skirt and a blouse to please the men at my job. I put it on because I work in a corporate environment. I've got meetings I have to go to. I'm confident
And
with
now,
what
so
I
when
have
you go to
on.
the club, how does that change?
Yeah, I was just about to say that's.
I don't
one
go to the
segment.
clubs anymore.
Well, on that
All right.
As far as a setting, as far as attracting the opposite gender, I guess is what we really mainly solely trying to get to, because really that's really our purpose on Earth is to attract somebody. Even if you don't feel like that's your your MO,
Yeah,
subconsciously is what we want to do, even if we don't really feel that's what we're doing. So I guess we're just getting to a point. How would you dress if you were to be invited to a club or a party where you potentially can meet somebody that you're with?
Ideally, I don't plan on meeting my future spouse at the club. That's just me.
But the thing is, you can't
And
plan.
You in the club, he might be at the club.
Exactly. You don't really plan where you meet anybody.
You don't, and so that's the thing. I'm not stepping out of my house every single day dressing like, okay, today's the day I'm going to meet that man. Like, I could meet him if I go to the gym and I'm dressed in workout clothes, or I could meet him on the job. I can meet him anywhere, and I need him to be interested in me based off of what I'm wearing in that location. Like, I don't step out of my house every day expecting to meet my guy, and I don't have that in mind when I get dressed.
So, okay, so when you two go out, none is like really focused on, okay, this is in order for me to try to get somebody to come in. So so you're saying it's nothing that you do is in order to attract somebody to come to you.
It's just to look presentable for
It's
them.
just, you just.
Very much. I mean, if I, like I said, look good, you feel good. If I feel like I'm dressed for the occasion and I'm confident in that, then I'm fine. I'm not thinking about meeting.
So let me ask this
Somebody.
question, because you've been taking a lot of heat lately. So are you saying that when you step out of your house every day, no matter what type of environment you're going to, whether it be the mall, a restaurant, going out at night, going to work, the gym, are you solely dressing for women?
Solely is not it's not solely, but you do dress for in case that. It's just facts. Like, if you go to the gym and you got, you've been working on your arms look better, you're going to buy less, like, you're going to buy shirtless clothes. I mean, not shirtless, sleeveless clothes. It's just facts. It's just, but at the same time, that's not the main intent. When you're going to the gym,
So you're showing off your
for you.
arms that you've worked hard for. You've been in the gym for who knows how long, working on that upper body strength.
Right.
So you're not showing it off because you're proud of yourself. You're showing it off because you're trying to attract women.
Of course.
So what's going to happen one day once you do get married and you have that wife? Are you still going to be dressing the same way? Are you going to be dressing different? All of a sudden, are you going to switch it up now because you accomplished
still have
that
to
mission?
remain interesting for your partner. You can't just get married and like, now I'm wearing, I'm wearing sweat clothes and everything. Like, you still want to look good for your partner at the end of the day. I think like the main thing between men and women, people just want to feel like they can still be chosen.
Yeah, and even with what you're saying, like, because the person wouldn't then, once they're married, change it up, is because they know what attracted them to them before, right? So all of that stuff is still based on attraction. So if I go out and I buy, I don't know, like some type of designer shirt and designer belt, I know like the opposite gender is attracted to that thing. So that's part of the reason why I buy it, because it's like if I go out with him, like, yo, I just got these new shoes, blah, bro. You know what I'm saying? He already know, like, okay, yeah, you probably gonna pull something tonight or whatever it's gonna be. It's like, that's what you're doing it for. I'm not, hey, bro, I just bought these shoes. They just for me, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't care what nobody
I don't care. I don't want nobody to talk to me about my shoes. These are just mine.
Let me use this example because you mentioned, you know, the designer shirt and the designer belt. I'm a fan of designer bags. I've got a few Louis Vuitton bags. I didn't buy that to please a man. If I have my Louis Vuitton bag on my shoulder, are you going to be like, oh, that's a nice purse? Let me go talk to her.
That's the difference between men and women.
Yeah, I know, because it's a bag. A man can't use your bag. Well, I don't know what type of man.
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like, men don't care about the design and stuff because, like, a lot of chicks, they could go to Rainbow and get a $10. You know how many girls I talk to that about, like, oh, this dress was $10. Like, damn, word. Like, and look like what you know. It's just like, it look good on you. I like how it goes with their homegirl. You know what I'm saying?
I guess it comes to, like, when y'all talk about a double standard for men, it's completely different. Like, we do have to think. I guess it sounds crazy out loud to y'all, but, like, this is, like, what we have to do because at the end of the day, men are always going to want women, no matter how you dress. But as a man, you know, no matter where you come from, you have to attain things to attract a woman. Just facts. You have to either work on your body, get money any way you feel you have to. Because like you say, you want a man that looks like he got stuff going on for himself. You're gonna attract two type of dudes: one that look like they got shit going on for them, or people that actually got shit going on for them. Either way, it's like, you know, like sex for us is more bodily. Sex for y'all is more mental. You know, for us, like, damn, I gotta eat. For y'all, it's just like, That's why y'all can go like a month and how many months without actually doing it. So I guess it comes to a point where there has to be more communication, being honest. So when it comes down to the whole, I only dress for me, and I say I don't believe it, my fault. I don't really believe that. I think we have to be honest. Like, oh look, we want each other. Like straight up, when you play the whole game where it's like, I don't want you and I have to play hard to get. Like, that's never been something that gelled with me. I don't want you to play hard to get. I want you to actually have an attraction to me as well. And it's just been a cat and mouse thing throughout the whole generation. So when there's a cat and mouse, there's always going to be a winner. There's always going to be a loser, a finesser and the finessed.
Well, speaking of winner and losers, we need to know who won this topic. And they both gave out some valid points, but I'm going to have to lean on this one on the women. On this one. I'm going to go ahead and give the women this one on this one point.
Wait,
I don't even know.
And that's not I liked it, but I felt like the women were, you know, they gave out a lot more valid points to me on that, as far as, you know, appearance. And I like how they said they're dressing for confidence in themselves and, you know, dressing for work and, you know. You know? It was close. It was very close. It was very close. It really was. All right, so we're going into our next topic, which is double standards, and I would like to start off with the gentleman. And Jaxson, what do you think about the, you know, women versus men on this double standard thing? What are some of the double standards you've seen and women get upset about?
I think there's a lot of double standards on both sides, and I think that's just how the world is, unfortunately. Like, there's a lot of things that women can do that men are, you know, looked down upon, and vice versa. So, I mean, I feel like at this point, that's just how it is, and we just have to be accepted of both of those double standards, you know what I mean? Trying to think of some examples off the top of my head. They might come to
What do you think about I got one for you, where it's okay for men to kind of have multiple women?
I could speak on that.
And a woman who would have multiple men would. Okay, well, go ahead. And
so if we talk about that, right, men, let's go to our biology, right? We have a penis, which is external, and women have a vagina, which is internal, which means you are receiving. And when women receives a penis, it also lets off like a bit of DNA whenever they have sex with a man, right? And I like to think of it like women as a house, right? Like your body is your temple, right? And, you know, as a kid growing up, we always had those friends' house we go over. It's just like, oh, anybody could go inside this house and we could go chill in here. It's no big deal, right? And people at that time, whenever they enter in their house, they don't really treat it with a lot of respect. But those people who are more selective about who enters their house, you automatically have more respect for, right? Okay. So that's one of the things, and I know like women be like, oh, I should be able to sleep around, but not really designed to do that. You know, you could take damage, like you've heard about people getting damaged vaginas and stuff like that from sleeping with too many men and like too rapidly, and all of these things can occur. So I feel like naturally that's a double standard that was put onto you by biology. And yeah, like certain people look at it that way. I'm not one myself. I'm like, yo, do you good? You know what I'm saying? Just be real with me, keep it 100. And I don't really care, but I know a lot of men do. So with men, when we do it, for one, it's not really emotional. We just doing it for, granted, a nut, whatever, and we could just go on, and there's no emotional attachment that comes with it when a woman does it because the DNA is transferred.
Okay.
So,
Well, they say a key that opens many doors is a master key, and a lock that opens many keys is a shitty lock.
Okay.
No, but like on the real though, like I really just believe in like just communication, open communication with everything. I mean, the dating process is literally like the job interview process. Like you have to pick and choose. So as far as the double standard, like we have different roles. It's just the way it is. God made us biologically different. Men are bigger. Women are, doesn't mean there's certain, we're not equal, but we have roles. There's certain roles you can't really compare them because you need. It's a holistic view. It's a yin and a yang. Today's society, I feel like we just so pinned up against each other. Women want to do it independent, and men have their own thing. They develop a system where like a lot of dudes lie. So with that all together, with there's no communication, if there's no coming together, you can't get a finished product in anything. But
Ladies, let me piggyback. What do you think about any type of double standards on that?
Well,
What do you think about what Jaxson and Eric said?
I see some points in what these lovely gentlemen have to say. Personally, I like to. I've been in a relationship for 6 years now, so it's been monogamous. I mean, we don't, see other people, if you will. So I'm not really. I don't know what to say as far as speaking on women that choose to do that. I wouldn't look differently at women that choose to do that because it is 2017, and I feel like women should be able to do whatever they feel like they would like to do. It's their body. You mentioned your body's your temple. But at the same time,
you have to welcome everything that comes with it.
And you do, and so do men. I mean, we see what's going on in the world these days with Usher and everything.
Oh, God.
So you have to suffer the consequences. If you're willing to put it out there, you've got to be willing to receive it. But as far as other topics to discuss, I'd like to bring up the topic of maybe men not being able to. Men always having to be the provider for women.
Okay.
So that's a good topic to bring up. So
I do like that one. So, yeah, what do you all, you guys think about? Well, I'm going to have, Ashley go ahead and chime in on this one. How about a woman who you're saying, like, brings in most of the money, most of the income, and being the provider? Do you think that makes that man any less in the household? I do like that topic really good. What do you think? Because we are living in a world today where women are making money,
I mean, if you're looking long term, I feel like it's going to be a give and take kind of relationship, and I feel like that's fine in both ways. Like, I feel like that's fine as long as it's not like that for the entirety of the relationship, Like, I feel like there should be an ebb and flow. So maybe the guy, he isn't doing so hot in life right now, and the woman, she has an established business, she's going. That's fine, but I feel like at some point, that man shouldn't get too comfortable with it always being like that. At some point, I feel like there's something that just with inside you as a man should make you want to step it up, at some point. And then, maybe it's like that in the beginning, and then once it becomes time for y'all to establish a family, the man can kind of step it up, be the one bringing in the, all the money and things like that, so the woman can kind of take a step back and, spend time with the kids or however it needs to be. But I don't think that all the weight should be put on either the man or the woman for the entirety of the relationship. I just don't.
All right. Shayla, what you think?
I agree. I feel like, it's 2017. Things should be a little bit more equal. I still am a little bit old school. So one day when I do get married, I would expect the man to take care of household bills. But I definitely want to contribute as far as the fun stuff. So I love vacationing. Vacations that I go on are not cheap. So as far as taking care of clothing items, toiletries in the house, food, vacation, stuff like that, I feel like it wouldn't be unfair for me to be responsible for that. I don't expect us to live back in the 1920s and then I stay at home with the kids and cook and clean all day while this man goes to work.
So what if y'all both go to work? You just so happen to make more money, but y'all both go to work. Who cooks and who cleans?
Both. I need someone that that can cook and clean. In my relationship right now, we both do it. It's equal weights. So.
I mean, I don't believe there should be anything specific for anybody. And at the end of the day, a relationship is a partnership. So, I mean, if he cool with vacuuming and baking, cooking, like, no, and I'm not even trying to be funny.
We do love to sweet.
It's true.
I'm not even trying to be funny, but like I just feel like if he cool with that, that works. As long as you cool with it. I think it's when we start looking at society, which is already kind of fucked up. When you start looking to outward sources to how to deal with this right here is when it gets crazy. Exactly. If dude is cool with that, then fine. If this is long with whatever y'all. It comes with communication. I spoke to her. She does this. As long as when she get back, I do this. If y'all cool with that, then.
What do you think, Jaxson?
I think as far as like the income that the person brings in, I feel like it should be more based on, are we working the same hours? Are you putting in the same amount of work and stuff like that? Because let's say his passion job is something completely different than what yours is. Let's say like you want to go and you're a dentist, so you're making like, I don't know, $100,000-$200,000 a year. I don't know how much they make. And his dream job was to be a teacher who makes $40,000 a year, right? Now, if he's passionate about what he does and he does it to the best of his ability, then no, there's no way he's going to bring in that same type of money, right? So at that point, then I think you have to evaluate who you with and then evaluate your priorities. Because if your thing is, I want somebody that's going to actually take care of the household and provide for this family of four, then obviously he's not going to be the one that could do it, and you can't take a sit back. But I don't think that you should judge him and be like, oh, you need to bring in more money if he's not actually able to. You know what I mean? So I think that plays a big part into it as well.
Well, just to take it a step further, I feel like if in your scenario, so if you're the wife or the woman or whoever it is in the relationship is a dentist and pulling in $200,000, and then the man is making $40,000. That might be his passion, but I feel like he needs to reevaluate and maybe find other ways to bring in more income. You can still be passionate. You can tutor. You can do summer school. You can do.
But how much could he actually? How much? He's not going to hit that 200,000.
I mean, surely you've got to be capable.
Maybe
of making
65,
more,
and we talking about summer
40.
school.
So that's
So
okay.
that's
okay. Let me finish my
Hold on,
point.
yeah,
So that's
hold on.
okay. So like if you reevaluate your life and you realize that you need to contribute more to the household, and maybe you don't make 200,000 like the wife, maybe you make 65. Then at least you've put that step forward towards taking care of the family and whatnot, and that would be okay. That'd be fine.
So
then
you
wife,
won't look at him like he's less than you.
You
won't be
wouldn't.
like,
The wife went to absolutely not. You can't treat people like that.
I feel like
so then in that
argument
case,
pop
I feel
off.
like
That's what I
the women should obviously take care of a lot more in the
And then
household
too,
because she's making a whole
let's
lot more
play
than the
now.
man.
Like now that we're in 2017, it's a lot of like females who are making not only equal but more than men doing those same jobs. So and now if we talk about like women who are attractive, so they get a lot of things for free. So now it's like a lot of money that you actually save and can spend, and now you're still looking at the person who, for a man, you have to put in work. Like I'm just speaking for myself. You got to put in work. You drain yourself dry. You keep going and you keep going, and everything is very long. So it's like, at what point, if this person is trying to be the best teacher in the world, do you give them? Because do you give them 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30? That all plays a part to it too. So you can't just be like, hey, you need to get them your shit.
It just takes into play how far they're progressing. So everyone progresses at different levels in life. So if you're a school teacher and you have a goal of being a principal, you have to put forth the effort to make that goal happen. You can't expect to just be a fifth grade student teacher with a bachelor's degree and just keep applying for these positions and think that you're going to get it in a competitive workforce that we have today. You've got people graduating school with master's degrees and whatnot. You may need to consider going back to school, or you may need to consider taking other certificates so you can get that position that you have. You can't just sit there and apply.
Even if you had a master's, you still could be unemployed.
You could be, but at least you're putting forth effort. It's all
But
about
who's the
effort
effort going towards? Because remember, y'all was talking about image for yourself. So what about what you bring in money? Isn't that for yourself as well? I mean, at one point, do you have to really give up your dreams to make your spouse happy? I'm just saying, like, if you're making it work, like in that position, if you're making $250,000, real talk, he probably doesn't even need to work. But as the principle of a man, he's still going to put something on the table. But I guess
it just comes down to communication. Because if you're making $250,000 and you've got someone, they probably don't have to work in today's society. But are you going to be okay with that? Why settle? For me, I'm not okay with settling.
But who's doing the settling?
Yeah.
The person who's not working. I mean, it depends on the communication that you have. So if you've got a couple of kids at home and your role and responsibilities are to take care of the children, cook and clean or whatever, then that's fine. But if you plan on just not working or just sitting at home and playing video games and watching TV all day while your spouse goes to work and they make $250,000 just because they have
But see, I think like
different.
what you said,
you have to contribute something.
I think biologically, a man wants to be that provider. A man is like sit there. And he actually wants to go out and like do things because that's how it is. That's how it is in nature, and that's how it is as like human species. Like this is what we do. We hold down the house. We bring in the bacon and stuff like that. But like I'm saying, determine on what actually your occupation is going to factor out how much money you can even possibly make. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think it depends on, like, you got to understand if, like, that is such a big thing on your checklist, you got to prioritize, like, who you actually go at. Like, this man could have everything else on your checklist, but if he only making $65,000 a year, then you can't be with him the way that you put it, right?
Especially when you say him aspiring to be a principal. What if you don't want to be a principal? What about his passion is literally just being on the floor and helping kids? I want to teach
the next best dentist.
I just want to touch. I want to be, touch the mind of kids. I just want to be here. I don't want to go up or down.
Maybe you have a goal of owning your own school. Maybe you can open a private school. I mean, you can't just settle to be.
Why?
Well, I mean, if that's
he's a really good teacher. I don't want to cut you off. I want to cut you off, but I feel like
if that's the highest ambition that he has in his whole life, then so be it. Then that's something that he has to work with.
If he's really good,
but see, I feel like that's another thing in the society that messes with us, especially with millennials. There's no more room for regular. We need mailmen. We need people who are architects. We need a garbage guy. We need them. So if all the women that look like let's just be 100, like being a man and growing up, you want an attractive woman. Facts. It's just facts. But then when you got women that would look like a certain archetype, the women that they attract is like, damn, what I want in my heart, what I want to do in my life, where I'll probably put just as much time and effort as a brain surgeon, is not good enough for this woman that's right here in front of me. And then you have women that's watching TV and looking at the women that's beautiful in their eyes that media put. They're seeing these are the type of women that they want. Why do you think so many black dudes want to be trap stars, want to be rappers, want to be entertainers? Because it's fast, it's in your face. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I can show you I have money without talking. And we get women like that all the time. Women that claim that we just want this, we just want this. But why do you think you keep getting these bad dudes? Because they know that, once they get a certain level of success or they attain a certain amount of things, they can go ahead and play around. But like these real dudes that's actually putting in groundwork, they just want a woman.
And they overlooked.
all the time. So then what happens? A fuckboy is created. When you do the shit the right way, it's just true. When you do the shit the right way, and then you see like, damn, this dude got way farther than me, and he didn't have to do half the shit I did. But I feel like I'm a honest, God-fearing dude, because Jesus was a carpenter. Would you have went for Jesus?
Man.
Well, on that note.
His homeboy was a key maker.
That was a great topic. I loved it.
He owned his own carpeting company.
I do the wood.
But we see where the passion was lying on this one. And I'm about to give it to the men on this one. And I love the women on that one, but the men, I like your passion on that one, and you brought up some very valid points. So we're going to have to give it up to the men on that point one right there. Yes. I got a question for you. But on our next topic, since we're going into it, I'm going to go ahead and have you, Ashley, go ahead and start it off. And when women say that a man can't handle them, what do you think is expected when a woman says that? And what do you think when a woman goes up to a man, and why do you think she, responds in that way to a man? You can't handle me. What do you take on that?
I mean, personally, that can go either way, and it depends on the woman, how she's saying it, what she's meaning by it. I mean, for me personally, that's not something that I say myself. I get like the context that's meant behind it. I get that she's saying, I have some issues, and if you're gonna love me at my best, love me at my worst as well. I totally get that. But at the same time, I think that we need to take some personal accountability in ourselves. And, if we have some issues that we know are issues, I mean, we're adults. There are ways, there are outlets, there are routes that you can go to work through those issues before bringing a man into the picture. And for you to just say, well, he can't handle me, it can be a cop-out in some situations. There are times when a woman will say that, and maybe it's totally valid. But like I said, because I'm not someone who personally says that, I'm not the best one to speak on that topic. It's just, that's not.
What do you think, Shayla, about women saying they can't handle me, or you think you can handle me? What do you think a woman is thinking at that point?
I think they might be thinking a few things. The first thing that comes to my mind, if they're saying that to someone that's pursuing them, it might be an easy way to say I'm not interested in you without necessarily, taking the ownership of hurting that person's feelings. So they might be considerate. And the other thing that comes to mind is they might be honest. If you have a type A personality and the person that you're speaking to does not, and they may not mesh up. It's all about being equally yoked. So if you know that you're demanding, you have all these goals and aspirations in life, and you like to be very organized, and this person is complete opposite. They say opposites attract, but you know, this person's really free flowing, go with the flow. Is it going to work out? You have to decide what's going to work best for you in that situation. So those are the two things that come to my mind.
Jaxson?
I was just gonna say, speaking on the women saying you can't handle me, it's the one-sided like confirmation where you are now saying this person has to change their ways in order to be with me or whatever, or else it wouldn't work out. And I think whenever you talk about things like that, you have to look at it as a two-way street. So it can't be an instinct of being like, okay, you need to do this to change to be with me, but then I'm only doing this to be with you, and you're not doing anything to be with me. And we see it like all the time. It's like all the time, like men do things that women like to do. You know, like if a girl likes to go rock climbing, guess what the guy about to do? This nigga about to strap up and get some hiking boots and learn how to, you know, pick a good rock. But how many times have you seen a girl learn to play Madden? You know what I'm saying? How many times
unless you already in the relationship. But when it comes to the part of trying to attract that person, it's like a lot of dudes kind of become a chameleon. And I believe that's a part of our problem too. Yeah. We can't point everything at women. A lot of men gotta put your foot down. Like, man, you don't want to see girls trip. You just don't. Now, there's times there's something called compromising, of course, because that's how you grow. You might go see girls tripping like that shit. But I feel like a lot of dudes, a lot of times they let a lot of things slide just because they want sex, and that's terrible. Like I said, if it's not all the way the truth, it's a lie. You lying already.
Okay. All right. Anyone want to chime in on that one? I'm going to have to go ahead and give that one to the women on this one. Good point, Eric.
Bro, I don't understand how.
I'm about to give it to the women on that one. I'm going to have to. You were going really, really good on it, but your partner here didn't help you out too much. I think both of the women here did a pretty good job. I like the Madden point, though. That was good. Yeah. I do think that a lot of women don't, you know.
I mean, women don't conform to men.
Yeah, they don't conform to men, but at the same time.
So you think that men should work to handle women, is what you're saying?
I think so.
I think, but see, then that's not 50-50. It's always going to be. There's always going to when one person wins, someone has to lose. Why can't we both win? I understood, like it goes both ways. But if I'm attracting you, I just like, can you do something for me? Like,
we go back into those roles again that you were just talking about. Every woman has their role, and every man has their role.
But that's to maintain. That's to maintain
men versus women. When the men come and seek their revenge.
Oh God.
But yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, that was our show for today, and I really do appreciate Shayla, Ashley, Eric, and Jaxson for joining us tonight. That was just our first episode. The women did win, but catch us on the next episode to see if the men, the men are going to go ahead and take it up.
INDE